This episode starts with Varys writing a note about Jon Snow's secret. Quickly, this shows that Varys has made his decision to back Jon and not Dany. As Jon returns to Dragonstone, Varys tries to reason with him to take the Iron Throne, but Jon shuts him down.
I don't want it. I never have.
And as they walk away, the camera pans to Tyrion. It made the episode feel like past episodes of Game of Thrones, because the next scene is Tyrion telling Dany that Varys has betrayed her. In classic Game of Thrones fashion, somebody betrays someone else. But the real betrayal isn't Varys betraying Dany. It's Tyrion betraying Varys. Because Tyrion wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for him carting Tyrion out of King's Landing all those seasons ago. So I'll have to admit I didn't expect this. At first I didn't understand it. Tyrion isn't the type to completely betray those that save his life in that fashion. More on this later. As you could have guessed, I had Dany executes Varys with Dragonfire just like she promised all those episodes ago. I think this was a test by Tyrion and Jon. I don't think any of them expected Dany to execute Varys, maybe jail him, but this is the foreshadowing for the rest of the episode. The next scene is another big one where foreshadowing is concerned. Dany tries to cuddle up to Jon, and Jon, of course, backs away. Jon is from the north, and this kind of stuff is looked down on by Northmen. Dany's ancestors find this kind of thing normal, but Dany doesn't see it this way, because she says, "Let it be fear."
Let it be fear.
Obviously, she is taking Jon rejecting her the wrong way, and many people think that this one scene is the scene, the thing that brings the mistakes ahead. So Tyrion begs Dany to spare the town people, and if bells are rung, to back away the fighting. The bells will show that the army has surrendered and that no more innocent people need to die. And surprisingly, like the Dany that we've known, she agrees to this deal. This whole start to the episode is dark, with spooky music playing, and doesn't make you feel that great about the future, to be honest. In another throwback, Tyrion asks Davos to do him one more favor involving smuggling, and Davos takes Tyrion to the line where Jaime is being held. He was captured after he left Winterfell. This is one of the most powerful parts of the episode. Tyrion knows Dany will handle Jaime just like she handled Varys, and Tyrion owes Jaime. Jaime freed Tyrion from the cell in King's Landing, and Tyrion knows he must repay Jaime, even though that means that Tyrion will receive the Dragon Queen's wrath instead. This scene brings back all the memories we had of Jaime and Tyrion throughout the whole show, as Tyrion breaks down crying and they hug one last time, knowing that even though they managed to see each other again, this last time will not be the same. This is why I was so shocked about Tyrion letting Varys be executed without any arguing against Dany. Jaime and Varys got him out of King's Landing. I guess since Jaime is blood, it's different. But he did owe Varys the same debt that he owed Jaime. It's just a little mean of Tyrion. And I hope it's not foreshadowing next week's ending, but who knows. I do have to say that this is one of the big scenes between Jaime and Tyrion, and it was perfect. As Tyrion cries, he says,
You were the only one who didn't treat me like a monster.
Tyrion breaks down crying and they say goodbye. No two people in the world could have ever played these roles better, and that's what makes Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones. Quickly, the show rolls into the final battle, the thing we've all been waiting for since Season 1. And they start off with Dany and Drogon falling out of the sky like a meteor. Moments later, Cersei is told that the Iron Fleet and the ballista have been destroyed. And it seems that this battle was one-sided, and won quickly. Jon Snow's forces next to Grey Worm move forward near the Red Keep. As Dany and her dragon perch staring straight at Cersei, Cersei thinks her forces will fight till the last. But they surrender and lay down their swords. This is surprising because it's only halfway into the episode, and I was expecting the fighting to end, other than maybe some scenes of drama and tension between main characters, good and bad. I thought there would be half the show left for plot to develop and hash out like we normally see from Game of Thrones, but I was completely wrong. As the Lannister army drops its swords, the characters all look around waiting for the bells to toll, because they know that if the bells don't toll, Dany is going to unleash hellfire on the city. You start to hear people yelling for the bells to toll. They're literally yelling, ring the bells, the civilians. Jaime makes his way into the Red Keep, and it almost seems as if the bells aren't going to toll. And Tyrion looks like he's losing all hope. I really like the scene. It's very tense and puts you on the edge, knowing that if the bells don't toll, Dany will turn supervillain. Thankfully, the bells ring. Even Cersei looks relieved, but Dany gets a crazy look in her eye. This is the moment when Dany loses it all. It's like the bells drove her mad. She loses it. She lifts off. Dany becomes the Mad Queen. Jon looks terrified, and Tyrion especially, but even Grey Worm goes nuts. The surrendered Lannister army is just standing there, and Grey Worm throws a spear into the weaponless mob. This moment left me with a sick feeling in my stomach. I can't lie. In a way, only Game of Thrones could. Because I had rooted for Dany and Grey Worm for all these years. Felt really bad for them to be downtrodden. For them to turn against the side of good so fast. And it's like Grey Worm knew that Dany was going full psycho and decided to follow in his queen's footsteps. I started thinking, wait, so Jon Snow, bound by honor, will have to punish Grey Worm for this crime. And what about Dany? Jon can't punish Dany, she's the queen. Because to punish the queen, you must rebel. And then it made sense. This whole time, the thing that started the whole show was Ned Stark losing his head. Ned being the man of honor, being wronged by those who would not stick to the law of the land. And now the show has put Jon Snow, the same type of man as Ned, allied next to Dany and her forces, who are now the bad guys. This brought me to a realization. Once Dany has said she wasn't going to stop the wheel, she was going to break the wheel. But Dany, in my opinion, was wrong about the wheel. The wheel wasn't the Starks and Lannisters and other houses spinning around. The wheel was the cycle of the good king going mad, the mad king turning evil, someone stepping up and rebelling against the evil to right the wrong until the good is stabbed in the back and the wheel starts rolling again. To its inevitable cycle. Now Jon must stop Dany, I thought. The wheel keeps turning. After this, there is a lot of fighting, a lot of gore. Dany's forces are killing innocents, really going mad like their queen, while Jon, Davos, and others are trying to keep the peace and stop the craziness, although there is little they can do. The wheel just gained massive momentum. I do think the showrunners are foreshadowing for Jon to have to stop Dany. By showing how many innocent people are being hurt by Dany, it drives a lot of questions and bad feelings towards her. Dany is starting to get some of the hate that I had towards Cersei a few seasons ago. A good amount of fighting passes until we see Jaime fight Euron Greyjoy. It's one painful fight to watch. But Euron dies and Jaime retreats into the Red Keep. Cersei is convinced to leave by Qyburn while King's Landing burns under them. There's a great scene between Arya and the Hound also where they say their goodbye, with the Hound telling her that if she follows him to kill Cersei, she's going to die. One thing to note is that Cersei is defeated already. No army, no people in King's Landing. I mean, there isn't even a King's Landing left, and Arya yells to the Hound by his real name.
Sandor.
This was another powerful scene for me. We all knew the Hound was a mean guy. But the way he was with Arya, always being real with her while protecting her at any cost for all that time, the Hound was always my favorite character because of this. The ultimate redemption story. Without him, the Night King would have never been able to be killed. He always thought he was over. He was resigned to being a nasty, evil person and to die that way. But he couldn't escape his ultimate destiny. No matter how hard he tried, he went from Hound to hero while fighting at every step along the way. So, then the Clegane Bowl happens. And it's not as epic as a fight as I thought it would be. The Hound manages to stab the Mountain through the eye and out of his head, but somehow the Mountain still pulls the dagger out. I know, I'm still confused over that. I know he's undead and everything, but still. But the Hound runs into the Mountain, charges him, and they both fall to their demise in a pyre of fire. The Hound couldn't escape it, no matter how hard he tried. By the time Jaime has found Cersei in the map room of the keep, and they reunite and make their way for a retreat with the plan to run in exile together, a lot of people don't like that Jaime returned to Cersei, but everybody has to admit the tragedy of Jaime and Cersei shouldn't have ended any different. They always said they were the only thing that mattered, and in the end, as the world caves in around them, they die in each other's arms. Rather poetic. The end of the show flashes between Jon and Arya watching the destruction around them, and the innocents burning at the hands of Dany. Arya opens her eyes and sees a lone white horse standing in the wreckage. She approaches it, and the episode ends. We have one more episode that will end the season. We saw many main characters in their story arcs also tonight. The next episode, it looks very grim for Dany. So what do I think about after seeing all of this? Honestly, I'm still in a bit of shock. A lot of people tell me they don't watch Game of Thrones. I myself didn't start watching until the 3rd season. This show, it's like a journey. And waiting a week to watch each episode is like torture most of the time. Honestly. When you go back and watch and stream the show, it's much different, a much different experience. Very strange to think about. After next week, the only way anyone will see this is through streaming it. I'm satisfied with the ending for the characters we've seen die tonight for the most part. Other than the Hound, but we all knew that was going to happen anyway. Although I do have to admit, the Hound and Arya both lived their life for revenge. For a part of it, Arya with her list, and the Hound with his brother. But Arya was given so much detail to her list, and in the end didn't complete it, gave up on it and walked away. The Hound only had one line devoted to his brother last season, when he told him, "You've always known who's coming for you." It just seems like the ending is backwards, but then again, this is an observation, not really a critique. I do agree with a lot of fans that the season has been rushed at the end. I feel like 2 seasons were cut out of the story, just to tell the minimum ending. I still don't really know why the Night King did what he did, other than the whole Children of the Forest thing. But I'll say this about Game of Thrones. The actor that plays Dany said that the ending was bittersweet. And so far, that's true. I don't know how Dany, giving up everything that she fought so hard for her whole life in such a quick whim, is just or bittersweet. I guess we'll find out next week. I mean, when people go mad, these things happen. That's life, I guess. It just feels like all was lost at the end by the only people that held on through it all. I remember last week feeling like this would happen when Missandei said Dracarys before the mountain killed her. Dracarys, of course, meaning fire. Maybe King's Landing was destined to be cleansed from the world. Maybe it had become so twisted and lawless, with so many powerful people being able to usurp all justice and stab anybody they want to in the back, that the only thing that would truly fix it would be for King's Landing to go, and for the Iron Throne to be destroyed. But I think the thing I said earlier fits most of all. Dany wanted so bad to break the wheel, and in a way, she broke her wheel while spinning the true wheel of Game of Thrones like no one had before. I'm UNIRock. This is my channel, my new channel, UNIRock Review. If you like what you saw, please click the subscribe button and the like button. Consider sticking around, and I'll see you next time.